Is this thing on? Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. So these are the things I want to discuss in this video. I want to discuss this race between our Flash and the future Flash via the multiverse. I want to discuss what they mean when they talk about the old DCEU timeline versus the new DCEU timeline, so you understand what's going on. And then we will discuss who I think will be the Superman in this new timeline. Now, I'll give you a clue. I don't think it's Henry Cavill, sadly. But every cloud has its silver lining. So, let's talk about the race between our Flash and the future Flash. So close your eyes. I want you to imagine how cool this is going to be. So, basically, the future Flash reveals himself as a villain. They start fighting. They start using the Speed Force, running through the Speed Force, running through the multiverse. They're running through Earth, but they're running from Earth to Earth. So imagine this. While your eyes are still closed, make sure they're closed, use your imagination. They run through Batman 66, the old Adam West show. Really cool, right? And then they run through Pattinson's Earth, Matt Reeves' The Batman's universe. Now, as they run from Earth to Earth, this is not going to be a long thing. They're not going to sit down for a coffee and start talking to Pattinson, because I know some of you are really, really concerned about this. No need. It's going to be very quick. These are just quick little cameo things, just to excite everyone that now the whole multiverse is canon. So they run from Earth to Earth. They run to the Arrowverse, and they see Grant Gustin's The Flash. Maybe our Barry Allen, Ezra Miller, waves to Grant Gustin's The Flash. Really cool. And this is what you're going to get in this scene. So there's no reason to be concerned about this. I did try and explain these rumours about maybe Pattinson being the DCEU Batman as fraudulent this morning on the DCEU Daily. I don't believe that's true. He could be involved in Crisis. We'll have to wait and see about that. And on Crisis isn't just going to happen. Crisis is the new arc in this new timeline, a bit like what they did in Phase 1. Phase 1 didn't finish off the Thanos story in Phase 1. Excuse me. So what happened was we had Phase 1, we had Phase 2, and the Thanos story ended in Phase 3. So this is going to run and run for quite a while. And so there's no big deal about Barry Allen and Future Flash running through the Battinverse, the Pattinsonverse. There's no problem about that. It's very quick. So, because a lot of you are getting very confused, very upset, saying to me, you'd rather this not happen. It doesn't hurt anyone. This is a DC multiverse. This is what they're doing. This is the plan. So what you're going to get here is a really, really cool scene of Barry and Future Flash running after each other through all these different Earths, and many of them. We're going to see Linda Carter's Wonder Woman. And who knows what other Earths Barry and the Future Flash will run through. So there's that. So a very, very exciting scene. Test audiences think it's fucking insane. Brilliant. Everyone is now excited about this movie, including me. So at the end of the Flash movie, a new timeline will be set thanks to Flashpoint. So let me explain it again. So Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman, Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League, Aquaman, Shazam, Birds of Prey, Wonder Woman 84, The Suicide Squad, Peacemaker, and Shazam Fury of the Gods are all part of the old timeline. Now, what's interesting here is they're saying from the Flash onwards, it's the new timeline. Now, this is very, very interesting to me, because this will give me a clue. Because because they haven't mentioned Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. I think Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom and the Flash movie will swap release dates. I think the Flash will be moved forward eventually. I mean, yes, I know. How many times can you change a movie and move it? But it's fine if it's coming forward. I'm okay with that. I think the Flash will be released in March of next year, of 2023, and I think that I think The Flash will be put forward to March of next year, and Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom will be released in June. This will do James Wan a lot of favours because his whole movie nearly is VFX and CGI, so we want him to give us the best that he can. So I think this is what's going to happen. So if Aquaman is moved to June, that means Aquaman is actually set in a new timeline. Now, one thing we do know, that Aquaman and Wonder Woman will be part of this new timeline. Now, there's a bit of confusion here about Wonder Woman because she's not in the Flashpoint universe, and the only thing I've heard we see of her is a poster of her, an advertisement of her on a bus, when Barry's back in the new timeline, and he sees the bus driving past. So maybe Wonder Woman isn't actually in this film, which would be weird, but we'll have to wait and see. It's a bit like, I suppose, in Back to the Future, when we kind of see different things of the different timeline, like when when Marty McFly goes back to the alternate 1985. So it's a very clever thing to show straight away that now, in this new timeline, everyone's calling her Wonder Woman because no one said the name Wonder Woman in the first Wonder Woman 84 or Justice League. Barry actually called her Wonder Woman in the Snyder Cut, which is really cool. It's a bugbear for me that they haven't used the name Wonder Woman. You know, it's a nitpick, isn't it? And so Wonder Woman is Wonder Woman in the new timeline. So if you're part of the old timeline, those movies that I've just listed, what does this mean? Now, we've been told that nothing gets deleted, but you've got to be very careful about this one because the sentence I always remind you of that Andy and Barbara told us that nothing will be forgotten and everything will be remembered. So everything in the old timeline will be remembered, but it doesn't mean it all crosses over to the new timeline. Anything in the old timeline can be lost. Now, maybe with Crisis, it will be found again, and all these characters will unite when Final Crisis begins. I think that's the plan, right? So the Final Crisis thing is very exciting. So I don't actually know if they're doing Crisis on Infinite Earths or Final Crisis, or Crisis on Infinite Earths, then Final Crisis. But don't forget, Arrowverse have already done Crisis on Infinite Earths. Why is this important? Because it means that could be the first chapter. And the Final Crisis they're doing is for the entire multiverse to unite against Darkseid. And so I think this is what they're planning on doing. So I hope you all understand and you're less concerned now about what happens in this Flash versus future Flash race. It's going to be a cool thing. It won't ruin the Batman universe. It's just a quick thing. It's kind of exciting, right? And, you know, this thing with the old timeline and the new timeline. So anything from the old timeline, all the films I've listed, may not be involved in the new timeline. Now, it's interesting. Will James Gunn's The Suicide Squad be part of the new timeline? Now, we know we are getting a Peacemaker Season 2 and another The Suicide Squad spin-off from James Gunn. So you'd have to assume that James Gunn's universe will be part of the new timeline. Now, there's been rumours that Shazam will be part of the new Justice League. Now, potentially, he could be part of the old timeline and not be part of the new timeline, but I can't see that happening. We'll have to wait and see what they're planning there. And now this. We know in one of the post-credit scenes that's been teased, Barry and Arthur are talking. Barry asks if Superman's part of this timeline. He looks over at Supergirl. Someone's standing next to her. Barry's surprised. I think this is Superman. So all the stuff about there being no Superman in the DCEU and Supergirl replacing him is utter BS, utter bullshit. So there's a Superman standing next to her. I think it's not Henry Cavill. I think this is Calvin Ellis, President Superman. Why do I think this? First of all, you've got inclusion and representation, but you're actually using a real Superman of color from the comics, and he's a fucking awesome version of Superman. President Superman is exactly what it says on the tin. He's President of America, which would be amazing. His day job's not at the Daily Planet. His day job's at the fucking White House. How amazing would that be in live action? But he's also the leader of a multiversal Justice League. Now, considering we're going through a multiverse strategy, you would need a multiversal Justice League, and Calvin Ellis, just like in the comics, I'm predicting will be the leader of this. He will lead the fight against Darkseid in Final Crisis, and that's who I believe this brand new Superman is. Yes, I believe they are introducing a Superman. Now, on Henry Cavill, this basically means he's not part of this timeline anymore. This will surprise Barry. It will take Barry a long time to get used to Calvin Ellis as Superman, if I'm right about this, and I suspect that I am. So what's going on between Henry Cavill and WB Pictures? Listen, it's a long, arduous, toxic relationship. You know, I don't know why they don't like Cavill. I can guess that Cavill wasn't too pleased how he was treated in Justice League and how they hacked his upper lip to pieces, and then they rejected his pitches for a new version of Superman. They decided not to go down that direction. They were worried that his Superman was tainted. That's all I can think of. So I think with the Batfleck post-credit scene, we're clearly somehow maybe part of Final Crisis, restoring the Snyderverse. So what you do Final Crisis, you unite all the versions of these multiversal, iconic DC characters, but at the same time, you wrap up the Snyderverse. So we'll probably see Henry again working with Zack, a bit like Ray Fisher. He doesn't want to work on that side of it. He doesn't want to work under Walter Hamada. If Walter Hamada gets to stay, we're going to have to wait and see about that. So Henry can work with Zack, and there'll be a coming together. I think this is really good. Of course, I want Henry Cavill to continue as Superman, but it doesn't look like this is the case. I would love, in a perfect world, to see Henry cameo in Black Adam and Shazam and Fury of the Gods, because they are part of the old timeline. I don't know if that's possible. Sometimes I think it's possible, sometimes I think it's not. But something I've learned in this game is never to say no to anything. Anything is possible. So I hope you understand more now what's going on with the Flash movie and the future of the DCEU. I think this is a new, exciting, brave new world. Please let me know what you think about all of this in the comments down below, and I will see you this evening when I'm live. Until then, until we see each other again, goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen.